everyone, to another episode of What's Working, presented to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. My name is Cam Marston, and I host the show. The goal of every show is to find people and workplaces and experts that have opinions and thoughts and insights on workplaces and workforce that'll make you a little bit better at what it is that you do, that will give me and you some insight into what's working out there, hence the name of the show. So to begin today's show, what I want to do is set it up the following way. Now, I travel a lot. I've mentioned this on this show a number of different times, and those of you that know me do know that. At this point in the year, I've got 110 flights behind me. I've already qualified for Diamond Medallion on Delta again for the, I don't know how many, 8th, 9th year in a row. It means that I travel a lot, and there's a lot of it that I enjoy, and there's some of it that I don't enjoy. What I usually enjoy is finding new and interesting and unique hotels. And the destinations where I go, they always offer a host of different hotels. And unfortunately, I often don't get to pick the hotel that I go to. It's all part of the event which I'm traveling for. But many years ago, I began to document the number of different hotels, just to count, just to see how many. And I'm guessing it was 6 or 8 years ago that I signed up for a service on TripAdvisor, which is a website that offers peer reviews of many different things that you'll experience traveling, whether it be restaurants to tourist attractions to hotels. And at this point, and I'm guessing 6 or 8 years, I've reviewed 267 different hotels. Now, the reviews are only 200 letters, characters. That's all they require. So it's not a long, comprehensive review. But I did this just to document how many different places I've gone. Now, in these 267 reviews, some of them are duplicate reviews for the same hotel. For example, last week in San Diego, I was in the Hilton San Diego waterfront for the 3rd or 4th time. I entered a review on that, just again to count how many different reviews and hotels and hotel nights. In those 267 reviews are 131 different cities across the U.S., a handful in Canada, a handful in Mexico, a couple down in South America, some in Europe, some in all over. So 267 reviews, 131 different cities. I feel like I have an expertise, let's say a qualified opinion on what makes a good hotel for me, for sure, for me. And the hotel stays, people are getting more and more demanding. And the question I have, and what we're going to get to on this show, amongst many other things, is my review as a non-professional hotel person, as an outsider, as a consumer of hotel services, really worthwhile for someone else to read? Am I qualified to read these reviews? Am I putting an unfair burden on the hotel to try to match my expectations if I don't know what it's like to be in the hotel business? If I don't know what it's like to manage and run a nice hotel, let's say. And that's what we're going to get to this week. Here in Mobile, we have a nice hotel, and we're going to be interviewing the general manager. His name is Scott Tripoli. Scott Tripoli is the general manager of the Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa. Recently, the Grand has been turned into, by Marriott, one of their autograph collections of hotels, which is, as their tagline suggests, exactly like nothing else. We're going to have Scott on the phone. We're going to talk about managing a nice hotel and customer expectations and what it takes and finding and keeping people when we come back. You're listening to What's Working, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. I'm Cam Marston.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
Hey, this is Cam Marston. If sales in your business comes from prospecting to create leads that lead to sales, I want to tell you about Sales Up Coach, a cloud-based system created for the next generation of sales professional. There's a big difference between being busy and being effective. And Sales Up Coach helps salespeople who rely on prospecting uncover which of their activities produce the greatest results. Over time, Sales Up Coach's machine learning hones salespeople's schedule to focus only on activities that generate the most bang for the buck. Your sales team interacts with Sales Up Coach on their smartphone, and sales managers can instantly generate reports to see who is on goal and who may need additional support. Go online and take a look at this new and very powerful sales tool. Go to salesupcoach.com/Cam Marston. Watch your sales team's productivity change.
Is your business growing? Does your existing metal building need an update? Expansion? New roof? With almost 20 years of experience, Mosley Building Systems is the leading metal building contractor along the Gulf Coast. We are your local design build experts. From expansion to new construction or repairs, we can guide you through all aspects of your project. Mosley Building Systems works with each client to fulfill their vision. For more information, go to mosleybuildingsystems.com.
We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston, and on the line with me is Scott Tripoli. I'm going to read from his bio here and then welcome him to the show. Scott is the general manager of the Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa. 405-room Queen of the Southern Resorts completed their final part of the transformation not long ago. It's now a member of the Autograph Collections of Hotels. And Scott, I'll ask you to describe what exactly that is in a little bit. I love the tagline, exactly like nothing else. The Autograph Hotel Collections, where they're exactly like nothing else. Many of the listeners are very familiar with the Grand Hotel. Many of us remember swimming there as a small child when the layout looked a little bit different. We escaped from home there from time to time. Scott's background, real quick. Current position, prior to your current position, Scott, you were in Orlando, 16 years, general manager of a 1,000-room DoubleTree by Hilton Orlando at SeaWorld. I think I may have been there in some of my work travels. So you've gone from 1,000 to 400 rooms. Thank you, Scott, for your time. Welcome to What's Working.
Thanks, Cam. Happy to be here. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Thank you. So many of us from this part of the world are so proud of the Grand Hotel. When I travel all over the country, people will say, you know what, I went to this great hotel. It's in this little town called Point Clear and just fell in love with this place. I mean, there's everybody from all corners of the country have these fond memories of the hotel which you're now in charge of. Tell me what it's like to have such a, what we, the locals, consider prestigious hotel under your belt these days.
Tons of pressure. No, just kidding. It's great. No, it's an honor actually to be the general manager of the Grand Hotel and to be affiliated with the Grand Hotel. And I try to talk that through with a lot of our associates at times, that we work in a special place and we live in a fantastic area here, the Eastern Shore. Not from here, originally never lived in Alabama, but fell in love with it quickly and been here about 3.5 years. But no, it's special. We know the Grand is a resort that offers a lot of great things, but people also have very high expectations of what we do here, and we respect that greatly. We know that this place is a pillar in the community, and it's an economic driver for this area. So we have a great deal of respect for that, and want to continue to carry on the incredible traditions that have been set here for many, many years, and making sure that while whatever our time is here, the resort's been here 172 years, whatever our snapshot of time is, me as general manager or the associates that work here, that we do the very best to keep it trucking and doing everything we can to keep the Grand as great or better than it ever was.
Tell me how many people you employ right now, Scott. How big is the payroll?
In season, which our season runs really April through October, we'll be upwards around 850, because we really have three entities. We have the Grand Hotel, and then across the street we have our two championship golf courses that are part of the RTJ Trail. And then about 1.5 miles away from the Grand, we have our Lakewood Club, tennis facility, fitness, lake, and pools and restaurant for our nearly 1,400 family Lakewood members, which also are very important to our resort and to the community.
Do you feel like it's a burden to have to carry on this tradition of the Grand Hotel that is held so closely by the community. Or if you were, let's say, in Orlando, where I assume at the Hilton Orlando SeaWorld, most of your guests were transient. They didn't have any connection there. And even the locals in Orlando perhaps didn't have any burdens that they placed on the SeaWorld DoubleTree. But in Point Clear, in Mobile, in Fairhope, and the Eastern Shore, all around here, we all kind of have an expectation of this hotel. And you, an outsider, for lack of a better term, are being held to that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a burden at all. I think that, again, using the word respect and honored and knowing that people here locally look at the Grand as, almost their escape and almost part of almost like they own it. It's really unique. And I remember my first weekend here, or my second weekend here in town, I was invited to a home of some of the Lakewood members, and wanted to know the new general manager of the Grand, so they can tell people, hey, I met him first, right? But anyway, It was great people. I've been in touch with them ever since. And I remember I walked in, I was introducing myself, and my wife, of course, was with me, and I said, yeah, I'm the general manager of the Grand Hotel. And she looked at me and she said, it's not the Grand Hotel, it's the hotel. And that's how people here feel, and it's really funny. But no, it's a lot different than Orlando. Running a 1,000-room hotel, and I'd been in the Orlando market for a long time, and I'd run a couple other properties there, and I was on all kinds of committees and boards there. As you can imagine, it's the hospitality capital of the world there in Orlando. Yeah. So it's a different kind of pressure there, or different kind of importance than it is here. Here, you're kind of the one-hit wonder in this Eastern Shore, so you recognize that. You do want to uphold the traditions. You want to make sure people know that you respect and you understand how important this place is. And I think that's what's important for me to let people know, because I can't lie and say I've lived here my whole life. I haven't. And I need people to understand that, hey, look, I'm here for a period of time. And while I'm here, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I don't let you down. And that our associates don't let you down. There's
also great value in bringing in new blood. My kids go to a school where we have a new headmaster, and his new ideas have really added some enthusiasm to the school. There are alumni that are holding closely to old ideas and trying to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with a new idea. And you offer new ideas from the hospitality capital of the world. I'm hoping there are people over there that are welcoming your ideas and your new energy.
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, yeah, every general manager has their own way of doing things, and the culture of the hotel takes on really the personality of the general manager. Of what I've noticed in my career, and I've come in behind many GMs that were great. I've come in behind GMs that weren't so great at different resorts or different hotels, and people have come in behind me and changed things up. But I think, yeah, I have an energy level here, and I think people recognize that. I'm from the north, so it's a little. People take a while to get used to me a little bit. I talk fast. I do things fast. One of my former bosses always told me, hey, speed of the leader, speed of the team. So meaning, hey, if you're moving quick and you're getting things done, your team will be the same. And but no, brought a lot of ideas and ways of doing business and changed things. But really, when it comes down to traditions of the Grand and respecting what we have here, you don't touch a lot of that. You try to enhance it. You might, like we started high tea here, in the last year, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do. And so I'm hoping it stays successful. And when I leave, maybe one day, 10 years from now, someone will say, hey, that was something Scott Tripoli started when he was here. Because, you want to leave with a couple of things that maybe you did as a leader, and that makes an impact on the community, makes an impact on the associates, as well as the repeat guests that we have on and on.
So you offered high tea, and were people just flummoxed from around here that said, do people heat tea? Is there such a thing as tea that is not sweet and served in a Collins glass? You had to break it. Well, you had to break some stereotypes on tea.
Yeah, we probably did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, you went from a 1,000-room resort to a 400-room resort. You went from a 1,000-room, which I assume was tourist and business-oriented, to more of a resort-oriented place. The career trajectory of a hotel general manager, does it typically follow this path, or did you take this job with the Grand because you saw something here that was absent on your resume? Tell me what the thinking was that made you want to move over to the hotel.
Well, that's a great question. Before I ran that 1,000-room hotel in Orlando, I had run a 400-room hotel in Orlando at Universal Studios. So I actually took the 1,000-room hotel job, or was lucky enough to get that job. That's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I was lucky enough to be hired for that position, and it was a very big job right there at the entrance to SeaWorld and at the across the street from the 2 million square foot Orlando Convention Center. So to your point, you're exactly right. I had tours, transient guests, tourists coming in from all over the world in Orlando, as well as convention guests coming in. So yeah, very transient, some repeat guests, but nothing like you have at the Grand with a generational guest. But I needed to get that 1,000-room job to get this job, because the Grand is, it really did, because the Grand is special. There's really nothing like the Grand in the world. That's why we're an autograph collection hotel. We're exactly like nothing else. But the Grand is a lot more complex. When you look at what the Grand has, the marina, the 20,000 square foot spa, the 2 golf courses, it's really what you consider a true resort. Where the DoubleTree, well, yes, a big hotel, a lot of guest rooms, and we had a lot of food and beverage there and a lot of meeting space, didn't have all those other aspects, a spa, golf courses, things like that. And so this job is a great one. It's one that I think people would say, hey, I would love to do what you do. As a matter of fact, I have guests all the time tell me, man, you're lucky to have this job. And some days it doesn't feel that way, but most days it does. Honestly, it's a great business that we're in.
Well, I want to talk about those guests when we come back. I want to talk about what you said, which I thought was fascinating. Generations of guests when we come back, and what their expectations are, and maybe something that has surprised you in dealing with generations of guests. Folks, you're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. On the line is Scott Tripoli, General Manager of the Grand Hotel in Point Clear. What's Working is brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College, and we will be right back to talk to Scott about his guests and generations of guests after this break. The Grand Hotel is home to a number of excellent restaurants. And have you ever wondered how chefs and cooks are trained to put together such delicious meals? Coastal Alabama Community College is home to a great hospitality and culinary management program, and as a part of the curriculum, students are required to operate a restaurant on the Gulf Shores campus. Nearly every Wednesday during the academic year, students create and prepare and serve a fixed 3-course meal at their on-campus restaurant called Frederick's. If butter poached lobster crostini or pumpkin and sage risotto sound good to you, check out Frederick's. It's a great way to support students and to have a delicious meal. For more information or to make reservations, call 251-968-3104 or visit Coastal Alabama Community College's website at coastalalabama.edu. We'll be right back.
The Community Foundation of South Alabama links donors to philanthropy, builds networks across 8 counties, and builds dreams for those in need. Through our donors' gifts, we make investments that enhance our community via initiatives with broad impact. Working with you, we build communities. Contact us at communityfoundationsa.org.
This is Coastal Alabama Community College, where education is key and where there is opportunity in every classroom. We serve 9 counties with one common goal. Here, we come together to create a brighter future. Together, we inspire. Together, we learn. Together, we succeed. This is Coastal Alabama Community College. All together.
I'm Matt Armbruster with Ransom Ministries. We help people in our community that most others have given up on. Please donate your unwanted electronics to Ransom Recycling. We teach life skills, job readiness, and job creation through our electronic recycling program. We take anything with a cord. Find us at ransomministries.com, or you can call us at 251-751-0044.
We're back. I'm Cam Marston. This is What's Working, brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. Scott Tripoli is the general manager of the Grand Hotel Resort and Spa in Point Clear, Alabama. On the line with me, Scott, prior to the break, you talked about multiple generations of guests. What have you learned from this type of guest that keeps coming back to rekindle memories generation after generation?
I'll tell you, I've learned a lot. I've learned, going through a transformation and renovating the whole place does not sit well with people who want it to be exactly like it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And, but overall, we're in great shape now. But no, when I got here and realized that a good amount of our leisure travelers, people from, good old state of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, drive markets, that they come time and time again. And it's amazing, quite frankly. I mean, I've met people who, this is my 72nd straight year at the Grand Hotel.
Goodness.
The only year I didn't come was when you were closed because of Katrina.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And you meet them, and then you meet their children, then you meet their grandchildren. And they come, and we've been coming because I came when I was 7. Now I'm bringing my kids here, and it really is an amazing thing. And it's a lot of our guests. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a lot of them. It really is generational. And the other thing that's neat about this is we have the big holidays here. The holidays of the Grand are very special. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Memorial, Labor Day, and probably the biggest is July 4th week. And the guests come back for the same holidays. So you'll have the same guests come back for Easter every year. And they may come back another time of the year, but they generally just come for Easter. And then you'll have a guest come just for July 4th. So you meet these same guests year in and year out. And we do our holiday receptions. We do a lot of the traditional stuff. And I get to meet these people again, time and time again, and see them. And, it's nice because they'll come back and they'll say, oh, my gosh, you started Easter of 16. It was your first week when we met you, and here you are 3 years later. You're back. You're still here. We're so glad you're still here. And it's important to them too. They want to see the consistency of leadership. I think to a degree that they know he's not here to hurt us. He's not here to hurt the Grand. He's here to help the Grand and make it special and continue to make it special. But it is amazing, and it's been an eye opener for me because, like you said, in Orlando, a lot of transient had repeat guests, mainly driven on relationships where you meet people. And they say, oh, I want to come back and stay again because, I love your staff here and that, but not as much as the Grand. The Grand has people that come back. And just to touch further on that, and I don't want to steal all the time here, but when we did our transformation the last 3 years, that was one of the hardships when we reopened was some of the people seeing some of the changes, which now I think if you ask anyone, they'd be really happy with them. But there were some changes that occurred that people were struggling with, and but that happens. It's like anything else. And now most people are like, hey, love it. Love what you did. You did it exactly the way it should have been done. And so it's really, really been a positive for us.
I want to talk about guest expectations and how you've seen them change over. How many years have you been, if I'm looking at this right, you've been 19 years in the hospitality business. It's probably more than that.
No, I've been in about 30 years.
30 years.
So probably a couple more than that even. Started when I was 16 in the restaurant business. And through college started going to hotel business. So
how are guest expectations of hotels, food service? You seem like you have to have some expertise in that. How are they changing, and where do you see them going? How are you preparing your team for changing guest expectations?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, as the world has become sensitive, in every facet, I think it's no different with our guests. I think they expect what they pay for, and not that they didn't before, but, people can be brutal at times, but people also have every right to demand what they think they should be getting. And so technology has changed so much in our industry, the way you make a reservation through your cell phone or, on your mobile device versus calling a travel agent or, things have changed. I mean, most of our bookings now occur that way, which, when I started in the business, it didn't even exist, of course. But I think, you manage expectations by just providing great service and having a culture of making sure that that's what you do. And most of the time, you'll see guests are really understanding, and that's what I've come to see over the years. I used to be a little cynical as a leader in a hotel because you feel like people are trying to get one over on you. Because Cam, you could check into a room and you could do anything to that room and come down and say, "Hey, my room's messed up."
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Call you a liar? I mean, but you got to tell staff, look, 1 out of a million guests does that. You can't call every guest a liar. So guests are great, and some of the other changes, the guest room itself, every guest room used to have a big desk in it. Now that's not so much the case. We have desks in some of our rooms, but some of our buildings don't have desks anymore. Just have tables and chairs, comfy stuff, more modern furniture. TV in the rooms have changed. It's no longer just, it used to be movies, Spectravision on command, movies, things. Now it's, you can log into Netflix on your hotel TV. You can log into Hulu. So these things have changed a lot, and made it, what one of our goals is, I think it needs to be, is it should feel like home. We want you to check into a hotel room where you have the same, aspects of your house. So your TV, you got the same things there that you can get onto, and people feel comfortable that way. And then you mentioned it, food and beverage. Food and beverage has changed immensely in the hotel business. It used to be, I don't want to eat at the hotel restaurant. We don't want to call them hotel restaurants anymore. We want them to be standalone, and we have great standalone restaurants at the Grand Hotel. Southern Roots, Bayside Grill. Yes, they're inside the Grand Hotel, but trust me, it's not hotel food. It's amazing food, and we have great culinarians here, and that's something that's been a big change in our industry the last 10 to 15 years. More local type of food. We do farm to table here. We have chef's gardens out here around the resort where we serve food from these gardens.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's important. So I think those are kind of the things that have changed the most, and just managing the expectation of the guests. I think you can manage expectations through providing incredible service. And I think that's all guests want to get. They want to know that you care about them. They want to know that you're personalizing their experience, asking them questions like, what do you want to do while you're here?
Yeah.
How can we make it better for you? Personalization of service is huge in this business right now.
Do you see that only increasing? Is that a trend? It can't be a trend. This has got to be the way it's going. Personalization of services. With the technology continuing to flower the way it is, there should be innumerable ways to get more personalization of services for each guest. Is this the way it's going?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hilton called it customer relationship management, CRM, or CRM, I should say, years ago, and that's basically what it is. I mean, you want to develop relationships. Hey, look, the grand generational guests, it's easier for us in a lot of places because we know these people. We know what they like. We know what room they've stayed in for the past 45 years, and we try to meet those demands. And but no, that's exactly what it is. And I think you feel probably the same way when you travel. You want them to say, hey, Mr. Marston, how are you? They don't, hey, you don't want to hear, hey, sir. You want to hear your name. You want to hear that they know who you are. They care about you genuinely as someone staying in their resort or their hotel. And I think when you can get to that level with your guests, it's special. And really, when you work at a place like the Grand, it has to be that way. It just has to be.
Well, I've traveled, and you're right. I do like to be recognized. And I in the intro segments, which I didn't have you on the line at the point, but the intro segment I have done at this point 267 hotel reviews on TripAdvisor. So I have kind of a history of what I'm looking for in a hotel, and I want to ask you about TripAdvisor in a moment. But there are these hotels from time to time where I check in, and I have been listed by my client as a VIP, and someone behind the desk has perhaps had a moment of time on their hand, and they've Googled my name. He's a VIP. Who is he? They Google my name. And then when I come to the desk, they start talking about some of the YouTube videos that I've posted. I'm like, that's a little too far. That's a little too far to talk to me about the YouTube video that I posted of my kids doing this. Let's keep it on a professional yet thin layer of welcome here at the desk as I check in. It is nice to be recognized. It's nice to be recognized as one of the, you're a gold member, you're a Bonvoy member at this level or something like that. But it can go to a little bit too far, and you think, man, that's a little bit creepy. I don't want a best friend behind the counter when I get here for the first time. Is there advice that you give to your front desk people to say, hey, you want to be friendly, you want to recognize, but not creepy? How do you define creepy?
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. We don't want to be Googling our guests. It's just not something that we talk about. The best form of recognition is you have the name, use it. They're a gold or a platinum or a elite member. Use it. If there's a problem, how do you service recover?
Yeah.
Use all the tools, and then if you find out it's a birthday, an anniversary, how do you recognize that? And there's so many ways to do it. The last thing we need to do is Google our guests,
Yeah.
But it happens. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it happens, but we don't promote that. We want our guests to be recognized for who they are, standing in front of us.
Yeah.
And just through great recognition and the things I just mentioned. And that's generally what we focus on.
I got Scott Tripoli on the line. He's the general manager of the Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa in Point Clear, Alabama. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Scott, I feel like customer service across the spectrum today, everywhere I go, the customer is demanding more for less. And that's always been the case. Maybe that's a component of capitalism or something, always been the case. But how do you treat that guest that steps up to the front desk and wants an upgrade, wants a free night, wants a voucher for a meal that you feel like is as they paid online rates for a basic room, yet they're coming in and pushing for upgrades and additional nights or something like that. Do you just get tired of having to say no to these clients that want more for less?
Well, one of my slogans is the answer is yes. What's the question? We try never to say no. We always try to manage expectations. It's a really good question that you have. And really the best way to handle this is be prepared. And so we have answers to all that. If you book a standard room online, and let's use the Grand as an example, if you book a resort view room online, which means you're looking at the interior of the property, which is still in many cases a beautiful view of live oak trees and our lagoon, versus a bay view, which is of course the view of the bay, it's a higher priced room to be in a bay view room. So if you come in with a resort view booking and you say, oh no, I won't be on the bay. Okay, sir, no problem. For an extra $40 a night or $60 a night, we can go ahead and upgrade you to that. And so as long as you have those processes in place, and that's how I manage your process. If our processes are working and everything's happening, then you'll be successful. If something's broken, I always go to the process. I don't go to the person. It's not who did it. It's why did it happen, and how can we make it better? Because we all make mistakes. And so I think that managing the expectations through just making sure your processes are tight and that you have an answer for all that. Now, if someone walks up and says, hey, look, my room was dirty when I checked in. Here's the issues I had. I want a free room. We manage that through conversation. Always start with an apology. Listen and then apologize and then understand what the issues were. And generally what you find with most people is when you kill them with kindness and at the end of the time, they no longer want a free room. They're just glad that you listened and you care. And that's really what we try to promote here because we know we're not perfect. We know a guest is going to get a bad meal in the restaurant at times. We know the guests are going to have something in their room that shouldn't be there or maybe something else. And we know that just sometimes the weather's bad. We can't control it. So people are upset about something. But it's all how you manage it and how you talk to people. And our people are well trained to do that. And in most cases in hospitality, that's what it is. So it's not too bad.
We have just a few seconds before break, but I wanted to ask you this. Are these processes that you've just articulated, are these taught through the company, through the Marriott organization? Or are these things that you have developed that you bring with you to your properties?
Both. I mean, certainly been trained well through this business, through all the companies I've worked for, but also you develop as a leader your own tendencies and your own things that you learn and that are catchy that may catch on and work. And so I have a little bit of both, and I think that the training I've received as a leader through the years has been instrumental to my success, but also you learn things as you work through. Because this is a common sense business, okay? I tell people that all the time. We're in a common sense, think on your feet business. We're not building rockets here. And so if you take that approach on, you tend to be very successful.
I got Scott Tripoli. He's the general manager of the Grand Hotel Resort and Spa. Scott, everywhere I go, they complain about finding talent. And when we come back from break, I want to talk to you about how you're finding talent and how you recognize good talent when you see it. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. We'll be right back.
Think about your home. What do you see? Do you just see 2 stories or the stories of your toddler's first steps? Now think about your car. Do you see an odometer reading or your kids reading in the back seat? Other insurance companies just see a house. They just see a car. But a State Farm agent sees what your home and your car really mean to you. So why not give them the protection they deserve?
You can reach me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, at AllisonHorner.com.
Investing, connecting, leading, providing. The Community Foundation of South Alabama brings together philanthropic assets to make Southwest Alabama a better place to live, work, and play. We link donors to philanthropy. Working with you, we build communities. Contact us at communityfoundationsa.org.
I'm Matt Armbruster with Ransom Ministries. We help people in our community that most others have given up on. Please donate your unwanted electronics to Ransom Recycling. We teach life skills, job readiness, and job creation through our electronic recycling program. We take anything with a cord. Find us at ransomministries.com, or you can call us at 251-751-0044.
Scott Tripoli is the general manager of the Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa in Point Clear, Alabama. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston, and What's Working is brought to you by Coastal Alabama Community College. Scott, everywhere I go, they talk about the difficulties in finding people, number one. Number two, finding quality people, which I'm curious how you would define quality people. Is there in the hospitality business, is there something that a candidate does that indicates to you, or that he or she says that indicates to you, this person will treat our guests well? Is there something you're looking for when you interview people, and what is it that they show you that makes you think this is it?
Yeah, I do. I think that, when I look at, depending on the position, let's just take an hourly associate who might be doing bell services or front desk. They most likely have a resume, but it may not be one that's too robust based on their age. Really what you're looking for is just that genuine smile when you're singing and speaking to them. If you can tell if they lead with their heart from the perspective of how they speak. You might ask some leading questions on what if this happened. What if you were in a situation here? How would you react? Relating mainly to helping people. Do you feel like you would help people? And I ask different questions in that regard. And I think that's what I look for when I'm interviewing someone like that. When you're looking at a leadership position, obviously, education is good, but again, this is a common sense business, so we're really looking for experience. Where have you been? What have you done? And same types of things. Length of time. How long have you worked in these places? Are you jumping positions left and right? Have you, in a lot of cases in this industry, it's a large industry, but it's a small industry. So I can sit down with someone, interview them, and if they're an older person and been around a while, I most likely will know a place they've worked or someone they've worked with because I've been in the business a long time. So simply making a phone call, hey, how is this person? How'd they do? And generally you'll get the feedback you need. But I'll tell you, a lot of times when you're interviewing someone, you can tell just by how their questions. You might have someone walk in during the interview and see how the person reacts. That's something I like to do from time to time, is have someone walk in on purpose and see if that person acknowledges them and says, hello, how are you? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who's outgoing, friendly, speaks to people, and not someone who might be upset when that person walks in or feels like they're interrupting. Because that happens all the time in this business.
So you've got 800 people in the peak season under your employee. Do you have a hard time finding these 800 people? You have 800, but could you use 1,000?
Oh yeah, we could. Yeah, we do. I think that's probably the biggest thing right now in this industry is finding people throughout the country, no matter where you are. I hear it from fellow general managers when I go to meetings that the hardest thing is finding people and finding quality people. Here in Baldwin County, we have great people that live and work in this county, but I'll tell you, there's not enough of them. And in summertime, we bring in about 70 to 80. What we call H-2Bs and J-1s from around the world, from Jamaica and from other parts of the world that help us during season. And the great thing about them is a lot of them come back every summer, and so they're already trained. They know what to expect. They know what they're doing. But just finding, seasonal employees. So that's a big part of the 850 is, we might have 100 seasonal that are college students who are out for the summer, high school students who are out for the summer. So while they're hard, while we can have some difficulty finding associates during different times of year, the seasonal associates really help us out. Leadership here, we do a great job with our leaders. We have over 100 managers and supervisors that work here at the Grand Hotel, and generally those positions stay pretty full. People, when they get in here as a leader, tend to want to stick around. It's a great place, and the culture here I think is really good. It's just more the hourly side during those high seasons, finding people. But it is, Cam, probably the biggest challenge that I think we face in this industry is a talent pool.
And so you go all over the country, and they're saying the same thing, just like I hear in my own travels. I'm curious, when you're across the country and you're meeting with your peers and your colleagues at different properties, is there something unique? And one of the things you mentioned was the multi-generational guests. But are you aware of a unique challenge that you face being in this part of the country that a peer or colleague in a similar hotel, let's say in I don't know, you pick it, in the Rocky Mountains would say, we don't got any of that going on around here. Is there something unique you face?
I think it's a different problem in different areas. Here, it could be a number of people issue versus a quality issue. Some people might say, hey, look, we have a lot of people, but none of them are any good.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they might say, hey, look, we can't find people. We're pretty much hiring anyone who walks in the door. And that's, look, we want to give everyone a shot, but you know as well as I do, it's like a football team. You're not gonna play every guy that tries out. People aren't gonna make the team. Same thing here. We're not gonna hire everyone that walks in the door, but sometimes you get into that warm body syndrome.
Yeah.
And we talk about that a lot. We have a great talent acquisition manager here at the Grand. We have a great HR department here at the Grand Hotel, and these ladies and gentlemen are challenged every day with this. And I got my hats off to them. They do a great job. And I think that when you think about hospitality, it's all about taking care of people, and that means taking care of our guests, taking care of our associates, and taking care of our owners. And that's what we're focused on. Let's
talk about the guests real quick. I'm going to come back to that. There's got to be guests that come onto your property that could, let's say, pay for the nicest suite in the hotel, spend a week there, and spend what I would consider a fortune and not miss it. In other words, very affluent people. There are others that are coming to your hotel that have scraped together the money to afford to come there, or perhaps they're putting it on a credit card and will pay it off later. They're not really sure how. They're less affluent, much less affluent. Do these different types of guests have different expectations of their time there? In my experience, when I do my work for a budget-strapped organization, they have much greater demands for me than organizations where the cost of my services is really not all that impressive to them. Their demands are less. Do you see it the same way in your guests?
Yeah, actually, I think we do to a degree. I mean, you'll have some guests who can afford anything, and they'll stay here, and they'll stay for 4 or 5 days, and they might pay whatever the rate is. You have people, it's like someone shopping. Like some people will go shopping and they won't look for deals. They'll just go buy it. I want it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to pay full price for it. And then you have other people who will, like my wife, for instance, who's great at this. She'll go online and find it at $300 less and get it, Same thing here. We have people who just, hey, I'm going to go online. I'm going to book the room. I want that room. I want to stay at the Grand on these dates. I don't care if it's July 4th. I'm going to pay $1,100 a night to stay there. And that's what I'm going to do. And then when they get here, they're usually pretty good people who all they want is to get their money's worth, and their money's worth for them is just a clean, comfortable room and great food and beverage and a great experience. And then you have other people who aren't as wealthy or only can stay at the Grand once every 4 years and save money to do that. And yes, they can be very demanding because they want to make sure they're getting every penny's worth. And hey, look, I respect that because you know what? That's what it's all about. We want people to leave here with an indelible experience in mind. We want people to leave here knowing that this was one of the best things that's happened in their life. We want to make a difference in people's lives. But yeah, it definitely happens that way, and we have to meander through that, and we don't really look at our guests that way, like, oh, he can't afford it, she can't afford it. We don't look at it that way, but you can recognize it sometimes, and we want to make sure that we blow people away, whether they can afford it or not. We want them to come here and leave saying that was worth every penny.
You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. On the line is Scott Tripoli, General Manager of the Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa in Point Clear, Alabama. Scott, something I heard lately that it sounds like you're tuned into, I haven't heard you say it exactly. People say they want more time. They don't want more time. They want more memories and the time to make those memories. So the Grand is providing opportunities. And by the way, I've stayed at your hotel over the 4th of July a couple of times with our 4 kids, and it is a wonderful experience, They want to make more memories, and you are a facilitator for those memories. Is that not correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we really want to, our holidays are on steroids here. We want to make sure that we blow it out of the water, and that we give ample amount of time and space for people. As a matter of fact, it's so overwhelming July 4th week here. It's I mean, even coming from a 1,000-room hotel, it's like nothing I've ever seen. You have to remember, like being in Orlando at a 1,000-room hotel, my guests are either going to the convention center or they're all going to the parks, right? So my hotel in Orlando, 1,000 rooms, it could be nearly empty sometimes. Here, 4th of July week, no one leaves. Everyone checks in and they're all at the pool. They're all outside playing games. So you really want to be able to manage those expectations, almost to the point where I said, I'm going to sell less rooms to make it a better experience for my guests. So yeah, we create the memories. I think we have to, we want to make sure when we're putting together every single activity for the holidays or even for the day-to-day here, that it's something memorable. Even if you win the bingo, what's your prize? What do you get as a prize when you win bingo? It's something you can take back and say, that's awesome. I remember that, And so we go to the detail of even things like that to make sure that we're creating these memories for our guests.
What's the career trajectory of a guy like you? You had to do the 1,000-room hotel to do the 400-room hotel. What is the 400-room hotel? Highly concentrated, just like what you described on the 4th of July, highly customer-oriented, generations of guests. What does this prep you for?
In this business, you just never know. A lot of this is who you know, not what you know. And, you can pretty much, if you're a successful guy in this business person in this business, and you've been doing it for a while, you've made relationships with people. And I have tons of those out there, people who work for different companies. And, you get those phone calls, now and then, hey, we got this opportunity. We'd love for you to look at it. But at my age, been doing this a long time. When you live in a place like Fairhope, Alabama, and which is, Baldwin County, probably the fastest growing counties in the country, one of them. And my wife probably would kill me if I ever said I'm leaving. My career is perfect right where it is right now, honestly. But if I was to say, hey, I want something different, what could I do? Is there a bigger resort that offers similar things to the Grand, golf and tennis and all this stuff? Because I really like the resort side. I really like this side of the business. I like creating these memories. I like to be part of that. I like to make a difference that way. The airport hotels where people just check in, check out. There's no personality. There's no relationship building. Those don't interest me. I'm more into this type of business. And, there's also opportunities to be, a VP and things like that in a company where you travel around and oversee a portfolio of hotels. I did that earlier in my career, and that's just not me. I'm more of a property level guy. I like to be at the property making differences and things like that. So you can pretty much go anywhere when you've done something like the Grand Hotel, I think. But is it really worth it? You're here, you're in a great position. Why upset your life when everything seems to be going pretty well? And one reason I stayed in Orlando the whole time I did, and we haven't talked about it, is my two daughters who went basically through school the whole time I was in Orlando. I was very fortunate I didn't have to leave Orlando, and they basically went through high school, all the way through high school and graduated. And that's when I started looking for another job. I actually chose to look for a job and left the DoubleTree to come to the Grand. I was fortunate enough to be hired here, and I always say that I was fortunate enough to be. It wasn't like I deserved the position, but they chose me, and really not looking to go anywhere. Real happy here.
So in a couple of weeks, I'll be presenting there at the Grand to the SITE conference. Are you familiar with this? Upcoming meeting planners, I think is what they are. Conference,
absolutely,
incentive
very
travel.
With it. Yeah, December 8th through the 10th or so, I think, is when you guys are going to be here.
Yeah, I will be one of the presenters at that thing. Tell me about the pressure of performing for an audience full of, and I don't know how many people are going to be there, meeting planners who have the ability to book those conference rooms for years on out.
It can be pressure. They're coming. You know what they do. They can impact your life. But really, if we do what we do every day, then we're confident in our abilities, and we know that our resort will back us up. We have a great product here. Just went through a gigantic transformation, a lot of new stuff. It comes down to service. It comes down to touches. It comes down to the little things, the details that make you great. And I always say you take care of the details, the bigger stuff will fall right into place. So as we prepare for that, yeah, it's definitely, more meetings, things like that, things talking about it, delivering on it. How's the food and beverage experience going to be? Making sure that Cam Marston has a parking spot up front or a complimentary valet, so he's happy.
Liking the way this is going. There we go. Yeah, liking the way this sounds.
But we're dealing with it right now. As a matter of fact, we have 9 hotels in my company, and all the sales leaders for those 9 hotels had checked in here on Tuesday and have been in meetings here and celebrations. And so we just have taken care of 70 people or so who work in our sales and corporate offices here all week at the Grand. So they're all checking out in about an hour. So it's been a great week, very successful.
Good. Scott, thank you so much for your time. We are lucky to have you at that great hotel that I remember as a small child learning to swim in that pool as a small child. Interestingly enough, my father did too, and that's the multi-generational component of it that you were referring to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, Scott. Folks, you're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. We'll be back after these breaks and finish up the show. Scott Tripoli manages a lot of people. They got a lot going on at the Grand Hotel, and they have, rightfully, high standards. I can only imagine what a difference it makes to have employees who are trained and ready to work the moment they're hired. Coastal Alabama Community College offers programs for just about everyone, and their goal is to prepare students to go directly into the workforce. They offer degrees and certificates for heating and air conditioning, administrative office technology, electrical technology, pastry baking, event planning, and accounting. And I could go on. If you're interested in earning a degree or certificate which prepares you for the workforce, check out Coastal Alabama Community College's website at coastalalabama.edu.
Is your business growing? Does your existing metal building need an update? Expansion? New roof? With almost 20 years of experience, Mosley Building Systems is the leading metal building contractor along the Gulf Coast. We are your local design build experts. From expansion to new construction or repairs, we can guide you through all aspects of your project. Mosley Building Systems works with each client to fulfill their vision. For more information, go to mosleybuildingsystems.com.
Coastal Alabama Community College is 3 amazing colleges combined into one incredible institution. And that means we're all together. For more sports, 15 more locations, more friends, more one-on-one time with instructors, way more activities, more courses, a lot more courses, and more success for all of us. Pretty much more of everything. Coastal Alabama Community College is where everyone is. All together! Coastal Alabama Community College. Register today.
We're back. I really want to thank Scott for his time on the line with us today. He stepped into a role managing the Grand Hotel that I suppose he had a sense of what he was getting into. When you get into places like ours, folks, here in the Deep South, where there is a lot of history and tradition, and we do it this way because we've always done it this way. Yeah, you're an outsider with some very powerful new ideas, new ways of seeing things. You know what's working in other parts of the industry and of the profession, let's say. And you try to bring some of these things into old and tradition-bound organizations. It can go poorly, particularly when you're from a part of the country that's much different than this one. I can tell, and I'm sure you heard it too, in speaking with Scott, that he gets it. There may have been a couple of surprises along the way, but you honor the tradition, you respect the tradition, and you carefully and slowly introduce the ideas that you know make the place that you oversee a better place. And that hotel across the bay from me right now is one of the cherished items around here, and I'm glad to know that somebody with his respect of tradition, as well as awareness of current trends that make things work and make things good and make things popular and make other people value it, I'm glad to know that he's got these ideas and is introducing them the way he is. Incidentally, if you don't have anything to do with the 4th and you've got a pocket full of money, then getting a room at the Grand with your kids is a great thing to do. We've done it in the past, and our kids have gotten a little bit too older. They want to march their own drum on the 4th of July these days, but it has been, in the past, a great event. So, as at the tail end of each show, it's important that you know how to contact us if you want or need or have ideas or feedback for us. If you have a question for one of the guests that you've heard recently on the show, or you say, man, that was just a great show, I want to listen to it again. How could I listen to it again? I want to teach my children and my parents about this and send it to my friends all across the world. We welcome that opportunity, and I want to tell you how to do it. First, if you want to hear the show again, we immediately convert it into a podcast, and you can get it at cammarston.com. That's CAMMARSTON.com. Across the top of that webpage is the podcast link. And when you get to it, you'll see this podcast or this show, as well as all the other ones that you can comb through and the different ways to listen to them, as well as how to send them on to your colleagues and peers. The phone/text line is 251-260-8100. Phone/text. Call me, leave me a message. There's no one manning that line. Or text that line. It'll come up on my computer, and we can get back to you. Again, 251-260-8100. The email, cam, C-A-M, @cammarston.com. As we close down, I want to thank the people that make this happen. Kristen Ogden manages all these schedules. She's got a hefty list of upcoming shows that she's organizing for us. And the show is produced by John Thompson at Ion Digital. He does a great job taking out my ands and my ums and my you-knows and everything else. He gives me at least 4 to 5, sometimes 10 IQ points that I don't deserve through his editing techniques. We'll have another show for you next week. Have a good week, everybody.